speaking of vegan, vegetarians, many times, and I'm with you when I get a practitioner and they say, well, look at this person's labs and they have low iron. I mean, almost all of them have low iron. And I'll say they need to start eating meat. And there is no better way. There is no better way to raise your iron than red meat. None. There is no supplement that is better to raise your iron than, the heme-based iron that you get from red meat. I mean, that's why it's red. It's got iron in it.
Well, and here's another interesting thing, Shawn, that I discovered because I was driven to do this research. We talked about this in the previous episode, right? Research and veganism a little bit. And I told you I have a mentor who's a physician. He's also a 3-star admiral in the Navy. And he loaded to me all kinds of articles to research. And one of them had to do with why vegans during COVID did so poorly. So who did poorly? Morbidly obese, over 65 diabetic indoor dwellers. They did very poorly. But another subpopulation that did poorly was vegans. Why? Because most of the niacin that's available in our diet today is a particular niacin in our cereal grasses or breads that's not very absorbable because of the substrate. They switched to a molasses-based yeast to raise the niacin level. And also, there are people who don't eat the beef. What is our number one source of dietary niacin? And that would be that grass-raised beef or grass-raised bison. If you don't have enough niacin, you don't activate an enzyme called NRF2. Okay, what does NRF2 do? I liken this analogy to people. If you have a bunch of very inflammatory cytokines, cellular chemicals, let's picture them like they're penned up bulls in a fence, right? They want to get out and cause inflammation and havoc everywhere in the body. You don't want that to happen. And that's a lot of what we saw with just terrible inflammation everywhere. NRF2 is the little enzyme that holds that gate closed. And you have to activate NRF2 with good dietary niacin. Without NRF2, the gate's open, inflammation everywhere, which is why, in this particular case, vegans did very poorly, unless there were these weird vegans that were also smokers. They had something occupying their nicotinic receptors, that niacinamide receptor, because they smoked. It was really odd. They didn't they didn't have as high a hospitalization rate as the vegans who were non-smokers. Isn't that weird?
That is. Well, I mean, I think, here's the thing, and when you want to think rationally about diets, when beef, red meat had a bad rap for so long. Hopefully we're getting rid of that, but we still see it. We still see it in traditional medicine. Many doctors, cardiologists will tell their patients don't eat red meat. But I just look at it like this. How long have we been eating red meat as humans? Okay, thousands of years. And, cows are pretty good about eating vegetables, especially grass that we can't even eat and digest. They're pretty good about eating grass and assimilating those nutrients into their bodies. And then we eat their meat. I mean, it works perfect. It's been working for thousands of years.
Well, that's right. And a cow's digestive system, the 4-chamber stomach, it's very different from ours. They have to chew all day. And some people say to me, well, Robert, I eat the gorilla diet. I only eat what gorillas eat. And they're a primate like we are. And they're very strong. I say, yes, but their digestive system is set up very differently from ours.
By the way, a gorilla eats 40 pounds of bamboo a day. So do you really eat like a gorilla?
That's why their heads are so big. Because they chew all day and their stomachs are so big. They have a 50-foot digestive tract. Ours is 30 feet, as humans. And they have a very high acid colon, right? Because they're still breaking down the fiber, but they have to eat all day. Could you imagine if you and I had to eat that much, just equivalent? I mean, yes, okay, a silverback might weigh 400 pounds and we weigh 200 pounds. So let's say, you don't have to eat as much as a gorilla. You're right. We only have to eat 20 pounds of food a day.
Exactly right.
Man, I can't eat that. No, there's no way. I don't have enough time to chew.
You're right. Or you can eat 3 pounds of red meat a day. Take your pick.
That's right. And, I'm not saying that, we do need to alkalize and the vegetables have their important nutrients, but you mentioned the carnivore diet, and I'm glad that you did, because this is something that is new, I think, in the patient mindset. Like, wait a minute, that's actually healthy. And I have a couple guys that come in and they're a few years older than me. So they're mid-50s or 60 years old, fit, looking great, lost weight around their abdomen. And both of these guys, they're friends and they go to the same practitioner. I said, hey, wait, okay, what are you doing, Doug? And he says, I went on. The only things I'm eating are pasture-raised eggs and grass-fed beef. I don't eat anything else. I said, are you kidding me? I said, you look amazing. He says, I feel great. My labs are awesome. Blood pressure's fine. Cholesterol's fine. Yes, his LDL is a little bit higher, but you and I both know the LDL guidelines for cholesterol drugs is used to drive the use of cholesterol drugs. It's oxidized LDL because it's inflamed and it's you're under oxidative stress. That's the problem. But these guys look great, feel great. They said their cognition is awesome. They bulked up on muscle, nutrient dense diet.
Yeah. And what's their HDL and triglyceride? That's the most important part.
Exactly.